Hi everyone, welcome to this channel. I am William. Thank you for being here today. Before I begin, our channel is aiming for 4,000 watch hours to join YouTube Partner Program or YPP. If you found the e-learning contents are useful and have helped your good self, please watch our e-learning video fully and other videos in the playlist as well. It makes a huge difference to us. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please feel free to subscribe and share it out with your friends and colleagues. For decades, if you mentioned the internal audit department to someone in an organization, the reaction was usually a mix of fear, dread, or polite indifference. It was seen as the police force, the group that shows up, checks boxes, finds what you did wrong, and leaves a trail of paperwork in their wake. But the business world has changed. The pace of disruption, the complexity of global regulations, and the pressure to do more with less have forced us to ask a fundamental question: is simply checking compliance enough? Today we are going to discuss the evolution of internal audit. We will move from that traditional model, where the goal was simply to enforce rules, to a modern, value-based approach. An approach where audit becomes a strategic partner, a catalyst for growth, and a source of insight that helps the organization thrive. In the next couple of minutes, we will cover three key areas. First, the limitations of the traditional compliance-based audit. Second, what the value-based audit actually looks like in practice. And finally, a roadmap for how we, as a department and as an organization, can make that shift. Let's begin. To understand where we need to go, we first have to be honest about where we've been. The traditional internal audit model is rooted in the concept of policing. Its primary objective is to ensure that controls are working. It asks questions like, did we follow policy? Did we get 3 signatures? Is the receipt filed? And on the surface, this sounds responsible. And it is, to a point. But when audit is solely focused on compliance, we fall into what we call the compliance trap. Let's look at the 3 main pitfalls of this model. First, it is inherently backward-looking. By the time an audit is completed, we are reporting on what happened 6 months ago. We are looking in the rearview mirror while driving down a highway filled with potholes. It tells management where they were, but it rarely helps them navigate where they are going. Second, it breeds a checkbox mentality. When audit is seen as a hurdle to clear, the organization's goal shifts from doing business well to passing the audit. I've seen teams spend more time preparing evidence for the auditor than actually managing the risk itself. This creates friction. The business sees audit as an obstacle to speed, and audit sees the business as reckless. And third, there are diminishing returns. If you spend all your time auditing the same low-risk, high-compliance areas year after year, like petty cash or travel expenses, you are using up resources. Meanwhile, the real risks are growing in the shadows: cyber threats, supply chain fragility, cultural toxicity, or strategic misalignment. In a compliance-only model, the internal audit function becomes a cost center, a necessary evil. Management asks, how much does audit cost us? Not, what is audit doing for us? This is the status quo. But for an organization that wants to be agile, resilient, and competitive, this model is no longer sufficient. So, if compliance is the floor, what is the ceiling? It's value. Value-based auditing is a shift in mindset. Instead of asking, are you following the rules? We start asking, are we achieving our objectives efficiently? Are we protected against the risks that actually matter? Let's break down the 3 pillars of value-based auditing. Pillar 1, agility. A value-based audit function doesn't just look at history, it looks at the horizon. It uses continuous monitoring and data analytics to identify trends in real time. Instead of a massive disruptive audit once a year, we shift to dynamic, quarterly risk assessments. We don't just tell the business, you had a control failure 6 months ago. We tell them, based on the data we see in the market right now, your vendor in Region X is showing signs of financial stress. You might want to review that contract next week. This transforms audit from a historian into a scout. Pillar 2. Strategic alignment. In the old model, the audit plan was based on a static risk assessment done once a year. In the value-based model, the audit plan is directly tied to the organization's strategic goals. If the company's strategic goal is to expand into a new geographic market, a value-based auditor doesn't just check the travel expense policy. They assess the integrity of the joint venture partner. They evaluate the geopolitical risks. They ensure the internal controls over the new supply chain are built correctly from day one, rather than being fixed 3 years later. We stop being the Department of No and become the Department of How. And Pillar 3, advisory and insight. This is where the magic happens. Value-based auditors are subject matter experts. They don't just hand over a list of findings, they hand over actionable insights. For example, a compliance audit might find that the procurement team isn't following the vendor onboarding policy. A value-based audit finds that, but then goes a step further. They analyze why. They discover that the onboarding software is clunky and takes 3 hours to onboard a vendor. So they recommend a new digital tool that reduces onboarding time from 3 hours to 10 minutes. Now, the audit team isn't just fixing a control issue. They are improving operational efficiency. They are adding value directly to the bottom line. When you shift to this model, the dynamic changes. The business stops hiding from audit and starts inviting audit to the table early in projects. Because they know we aren't there to slow them down, we're there to help them succeed safely. This all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? Changing a culture from compliance to value doesn't happen overnight. It requires a deliberate shift in 3 areas: people, process, and technology. First, people. If we want to be trusted advisors, we need to hire and train differently. Traditionally, auditors were often accountants or former financial controllers. While that technical expertise is essential, value-based auditing requires a broader skill set. We need data scientists who can analyze entire populations of data, not just samples. We need communicators who can present complex risks in a clear, compelling way to the board. And we need critical thinkers who understand business strategy, not just internal controls. We must invest in upskilling our team. If an auditor's only tool is a checklist, they will only find checklist problems. Second, process. We need to move away from the rigid waterfall methodology. Planning, fieldwork, reporting, done. Instead, we adopt agile auditing. This means shorter engagement cycles. Instead of a 12-week audit that delivers a massive report at the end, we do 3-week sprints. We deliver updates to stakeholders in real time. If we find a critical issue on day 5, we don't wait until day 60 to tell the client. We tell them on day 5 so they can fix it now. This reduces the surprise factor that creates tension and builds trust. It shows we are partners in fixing problems, not just scorekeepers. And finally, technology. We cannot be value-added if we are stuck doing manual data entry. Technology is the enabler. We need to implement continuous monitoring tools. Imagine dashboards that flag anomalies in accounts payable as they happen, rather than months later. Imagine using AI to review contracts for risky clauses in seconds rather than weeks. By automating the low-level compliance testing, the stuff that doesn't require human judgment, we free up our team to focus on high-value activities, strategic analysis, advisory, and complex risk assessment. Technology allows us to stop counting the beans and start making the beans grow. So, as we wrap up, let's bring this back to the big picture. We are at a crossroads. We can continue to be a compliance police force, safe, predictable, and slowly becoming irrelevant. Or we can evolve. By shifting to a value-based model, we transform internal audit from a cost center into a value driver. We move from looking in the rearview mirror to looking out the windshield. We move from asking, "Did you follow the rule?" to asking, "Are we achieving our goals safely?" To summarize the key takeaways: 1. Compliance is the floor, not the ceiling. We must maintain it, but we cannot stop there. 2. Value comes from agility, strategy, and insight. We must align our work with what matters most to the organization. 3. The transformation requires investment. We need new skills, agile processes, and modern technology to get there. My call to action for everyone here today, whether you are in audit, operations, finance, or leadership, is this: let's change the conversation. The next time an audit is scheduled in your area, don't view it as a burden. View it as an opportunity. Ask the audit team, how can we use this to improve our processes? How can we make this department more efficient? And to my fellow auditors in the room, let's stop waiting to be invited to the table. Let's earn our seat there by proving that our insights are just as valuable as the numbers on the spreadsheet. The organizations that embrace this value-based mindset will not only manage risk better, they will be the ones who move faster, adapt quicker, and ultimately succeed in an uncertain world. That's to the end of my sharing today. Thank you for your time and attention. If you found this e-learning video is useful, please feel free to subscribe to this channel and share it out with your friends and colleagues. Thank you and have a great day ahead. Hi, everyone.